Hey guys, tonight we're going to travel far back in time, into the heart of ancient Rome, to experience a quiet, immersive journey through a day at the Roman baths. We'll gently walk through marble corridors and steam-filled chambers, listening to echoes of sandals on stone and murmurs in Latin, observing the rhythms and rituals of public bathing as it once was. This story is slow, richly textured, and meant to guide your mind gently into rest. Before we begin, I'd love to know where and when you're listening from. What city or country are you in? What time is it where you are? You can let me know in the comments. It helps me feel a bit more connected to all of you drifting off across the world. Now, get cozy. Adjust your blanket, lower the light, maybe take a slow breath or two. Let your hands relax at your sides, and let's take this quiet walk together. Imagine the sounds softening around you as the story begins. You awake in a narrow room, tucked above the shops near the Forum, the sound of wooden shutters creaking open to let in the pale Roman morning. The air is still cool, tinged with the scent of ash from last night's cooking fires and the faintest whiff of olives and vinegar. Sunlight glints off the tiled roofs, and you hear, as you so often do, the voices of vendors beginning to set up their stalls. Plump figs, hunks of white cheese, garum in clay jars. Today is your bathing day. Bathing in Rome is not a hurried act. It is ritual, custom, and pleasure all in one. It is a social outing, a form of medicine, and a kind of sacred rite. It's woven into the very rhythms of life. You don't go to the baths simply to cleanse your skin. You go to be Roman. You stretch slowly and dress in your tunic, tying your belt loosely around your waist. The linen is coarse but familiar. On the streets, the city is waking in layers. Children chasing chickens between alleys, slaves pouring water from large amphorae into basins, soldiers laughing as they rub the grime from their armour, and the scent of warm bread drifting from a papina nearby. You pass a bakery where round loaves with stamped initials cool on woven mats. One of the bakers nods at you. You nod back, warmed by the simplicity of the gesture. You have the whole day ahead, and the baths, just beyond the Aventine, await. Your destination today is the baths of Caracalla. They were completed only a few years ago, lavish, enormous, impossible in their scale. Nearly 50 acres of palatial stone, gleaming marble and scented air. You can see the domes rising beyond the city's lower buildings, their mass almost dreamlike against the shifting clouds. The public baths, or thermae, are free to citizens like you, funded by the emperor as a gift to the people, a symbol of power, civility, and indulgence. They open in the early afternoon, but the wise bather arrives earlier. You want to linger. The stone beneath your sandals is already warm. You pass a pair of philosophers deep in debate. You catch a phrase, virtus non in aqua lavatur, virtue is not washed away in water, and smile at the dry humour of it. Rome is filled with such men. Everyone in the city bathes, from the lowest slave to the most dignified senator, but each class has its own rhythm, its own time slot. You, somewhere in between, share your day with merchants, retired legionnaires, scribes, and scribblers. You arrive at the outer wall of the bath complex, thick travertine stone climbing into the air, statues of gods and muscled heroes peering down from niches above the gates. You join a small crowd already gathering. A boy sells scented oils from a cart, myrrh, rose, and something sharper, perhaps pine resin. The scent tickles your nose as you pass. You step beneath the massive archway and the world quiets around you. Inside the vestibule, mosaic floors spread out like fabric underfoot, shimmering images of Neptune, sea creatures and curling waves, all crafted from countless tiny tesserae. You pause to admire them. You always do. The frigidarium is not yet ready. The fires in the hippocaust are still being stoked. Far below in the unseen belly of the complex, where slaves tend the furnaces that heat the air and water, steam will rise soon, but not yet. Now there is stillness and cool stone. You leave your sandals in a cubby near the apoditerium, the changing room. A small slave boy watches over the shelves with tired eyes. You hand him a coin, and he nods, placing your belongings in a linen pouch. Now you are barefoot, dressed in a simple loincloth, and walking slowly across cool stone toward the warm heart of the baths. The world outside begins to dissolve, the noise of the street replaced by soft dripping water, and the faint echo of distant voices bouncing from vaulted ceilings. You feel yourself easing into the rhythm of it all. Today will be long, unhurried, and full of small comforts. You step slowly from the apoditerium, the changing room, into the tepidarium, the first of the heated chambers. Immediately you feel it. The air is thicker, humid, gently warm like a river at dusk. The shift in temperature is subtle but immediate, like slipping beneath a warm woolen blanket after a long walk in the cold. The tepidarium is a transitional space where the body and mind prepare. You're not yet sweating, you're simply arriving. The floor beneath your bare feet is warm to the touch, thanks to the hypocaust, an ingenious Roman system of underfloor heating. Deep below, slaves feed wood into the glowing furnaces, and the hot air snakes its way through the hollows in the floor and into the walls. You imagine them there, shadows lit by fire, the endless creak of bronze grates opening and closing. The light in the tepidarium is dim and golden. Shafts of it pour in through high, narrow windows, filtered through coloured glass, creating patterns on the floor like moving water. You find a spot on a long, low marble bench and sit, folding your hands on your knees, your breathing already slowing. You feel your pores begin to open, your muscles gently relaxing in the enveloping heat. All around you, others are quietly talking. Their voices rise and fall like waves, never quite distinct but deeply human. A man is telling his friend about a lawsuit he hopes to win. Another, wrapped in a white towel, is explaining a dream he had about Mars standing on the Palatine Hill, whispering omens in the moonlight. A group of older women sits near the fountain, laughing softly. Their skin is lined with years and sun, but they wear gold bracelets and speak in refined Roman Latin. You breathe in again, this time catching notes of lavender oil, oiled wood, and the soft musk of wet limestone. Somewhere nearby, someone spills water from a ladle, and the splash is surprisingly musical. In this room, you feel time slowing. There is no urgency. The bath day is long, designed to stretch and unfurl like a scroll. People come not just to wash, but to be seen, to catch up, to reflect. Bathing is as much about public selfhood as private comfort. A slave approaches you with a brass bowl and offers warm oil infused with chamomile. You nod, and he pours a small amount into your palm. It's thick and fragrant. Slowly you rub it across your arms and neck, letting it sit on the skin. Soon it will be scraped off with a strigil, a curved bronze blade used to clean the body. But not yet. For now, you close your eyes and let the air do its work. The tepidarium has always been your favourite chamber, not as cold as the frigidarium, not as scalding as the caldarium. It is the golden middle, the place of moderation, warmth, and conversation. Here, you often feel closest to the Roman soul, balance between extremes. Above you, the ceiling arches high, coffered and painted with soft frescoes, pastel clouds, laurels, and gods reclining on blue cushions of air. You trace their outlines with your eyes, barely focusing. There is Neptune, leaning on a trident. Beside him, a dolphin curls around a shell. These are quiet deities now, content to watch mortals exhale. You stretch out, allowing your spine to settle against the marble. Every part of your body begins to warm and soften. There is no room for tension here. The bathhouse seems designed to pull it from you. Every sigh, every drop of sweat, every scrape of oil and ash. This chamber also serves another purpose. It is where health rituals begin. Romans believed in the balance of humours: blood, phlegm, black bile and yellow bile. And the bathhouse, with its varying temperatures, offered a way to retune that inner orchestra. The tepidarium was believed to prepare the blood to circulate more easily, to awaken the body without shocking it. Many would spend over an hour here, especially in the cooler seasons. A physician in a pale robe walks past, speaking softly to a patient who is being treated with herbal compresses. You notice that even the sick come here. The Romans believed that heated air combined with oils and massage could cure everything from melancholy to gout. Whether or not that's true, there's something comforting about the belief itself. That warmth can heal, that a carefully built chamber of stone and air can make you whole. You begin to feel drowsy. The heat has loosened your thoughts. You're still listening, but now to internal music. The rhythm of your own breath, the echo of blood in your ears, the softness of your heartbeat matching the chamber's pulse. Soon, you will rise and move to the caldarium, where the air is thick as wool and steam pours from bronze pipes. There, you'll sweat and scrape and perhaps even receive a massage. But not yet. Not just yet. Now you rest in this golden chamber, between waking and sleep, between the clamour of Rome and the quiet of your inner world. The tepidarium holds you gently, like a cupped hand, and you let it. You rise slowly, your joints supple now, and make your way toward the caldarium, the hottest room in the Roman baths. The warmth of the tepidarium clings to your skin like mist, but as you cross the threshold into the next chamber, that mild warmth blooms into something much deeper, more enveloping. The air is thick with steam, almost opaque in places. You can only see a few paces ahead, where ghost-like figures move in and out of the haze, half-visible silhouettes wrapped in towels, bent over stone basins, stretching out on heated marble slabs. The scent here is heavier: eucalyptus, cedar resin, crushed bay leaves. Your nostrils tingle slightly. You're breathing in not just moisture but medicine, mingled with time. The caldarium is the heart of the bathhouse. It's where the body purges, where heat opens the deepest pores, and where the real cleansing begins. The room is vast and vaulted, the ceiling high above your head, and curved like the dome of a sky temple. Condensation beads along its surface, dripping occasionally in rhythmic plinks that echo softly around the room. Light filters in from a narrow slit above, golden and diffuse, like sunlight underwater. The marble walls are wet to the touch, worn smooth by generations of hands and condensation. Columns rise like tree trunks through the mist, their capitals barely visible above. At the far end of the chamber is a labrum, a great circular basin of cold water used to splash and soothe the face between heat sessions. Around it, bathers pass quietly, their movements slow and deliberate as if in a trance. You make your way to a Prefernium bench near one of the smaller furnaces. The floor here is hot, and your feet must tread carefully. Everything in the caldarium is designed to induce sweat. Your body responds within minutes, moisture beading on your forehead, your chest. It feels ancient, primal, as if you are not just cleaning your body, but melting into something more elemental. A slave boy appears beside you without speaking. He carries a curved bronze strigil and a bowl of warm oil mixed with ash and herbs. You nod, and he begins to pour the oil slowly down your back. It runs like honey, heavy and aromatic. Then, gently, he begins to scrape. The strigil is cool at first, but it warms quickly. The curved metal kisses your skin, gliding smoothly across your shoulders, along your arms, down your flanks. It doesn't hurt. It's firm, repetitive, strangely comforting. The scraping removes not just oil and sweat, but dead skin, dust, fatigue. It's a kind of shedding, a ritual of release. You close your eyes as the motions continue, each stroke pulling you deeper into your own body, your own breath. You hear the distant sound of someone groaning with relief as their own attendant works on a stiff back. Another bather mutters a poem, half remembered. A few men are having a slow debate about the virtues of Galen's theories on blood. It all blurs into a warm, fogged chorus of life and ritual. The scraping finishes, and the oil is gently wiped from your skin with a linen cloth. You feel lighter. Your skin tingles, clean in a way no cold river or basin could match. There is something intimate and human about being tended to in this way. Not indulgent, not luxurious. Necessary, expected, Roman. You make your way toward the plunge pool in the centre of the room, a calidarium piscina, steaming lightly, tiled with small blue and green squares that shimmer like fish scales beneath the water. You lower yourself in slowly, inch by inch. The heat is not scalding, but profound. It wraps your limbs, seeps into your joints. You feel your heart thudding steady and slow, like the tread of boots on a distant road. Others share the pool with you, a boy with a crooked nose, an older woman whose hair is pinned with bone combs, a man whose arms bear the faded scars of a soldier's life. No one speaks loudly here. This is a room of transformation. The Romans believed that heat expelled the excesses of the body, the bad air, the melancholic humours, the fog of gluttony. That here, in the bath, one could be purified not just physically but emotionally. Men confessed things here they never would in the street. Women whispered secrets. Even emperors sometimes came in disguise to listen. You lean back against the smooth tile, letting the water carry you slightly, weightless. Your fingers trace the rim of the pool, your mind drifts. Perhaps you remember a lover's laughter here from another visit, or an overheard conversation about an approaching war. Perhaps the same steam has clouded the eyes of poets, or washed the sweat from a gladiator's brow. You're not just bathing, you're joining a continuum of people, all of them shedding something here, all of them in some way made more human by heat. You feel it too, the sweat, the scraping, the stillness. It's working, not just on your body, but on that part of your mind that carries worry and tension. They're melting now, fading into the steam. You close your eyes, there's no rush. You'll stay here until your limbs grow heavy again, and then perhaps you'll cool yourself in the frigidarium. But for now, you are weightless in the caldarium, held by the water, cradled by steam, and entirely at peace. After the sweat and the scrape, the heat and the hum of the caldarium, your body feels emptied, your limbs heavy, your mind slightly unfocused in the way only real relaxation can bring. But the final act of the ritual is yet to come, a sudden, bracing shift that completes the cycle and returns you to yourself. It is time for the frigidarium. You rise slowly, every movement feeling slightly fluid. Water drips from your skin as you step back through the archway, leaving behind the blurred silhouettes and heavy warmth of the caldarium. The air outside is instantly cooler, thinner. Your skin tightens, but you're not chilled, just more awake, more present. The frigidarium is architecturally simpler than the warmer rooms, but somehow more reverent. It is vast and cool, a domed space with high ceilings, designed not to comfort but to cleanse in the purest, most elemental way. You cross the mosaic floor carefully, its chill beneath your bare feet reminding you that you are almost at the end of the journey. Light pours in here more brightly, unfiltered. Unlike the warm gloom of the tepidarium or the golden fog of the caldarium, the frigidarium is clear and sharp, like early morning. The windows are large, high above you, set with pale green glass that diffuses the sunlight into something clean and colourless. Marble glints underfoot, polished white, veined with pale grey. In the centre, the pool awaits, lacus frigidus, the cold plunge. Its surface is completely still. No bubbles, no steam, just silence and reflection. You step toward it, and though your body hesitates, your mind already knows the relief it will bring. This is not a place for comfort. It is a place for renewal, for closing the ritual. You descend slowly, gripping the smooth brass rail. The water reaches your ankles, then your knees. It is cold, far colder than anything before, but not cruel, just enough to make you shiver involuntarily, to gasp softly as it touches your skin. Then you submerge fully. It is like diving into a clear ancient memory, cold water wrapping around your bones, tightening your skin, clearing your thoughts like wind across parchment. For a moment, your heart quickens. You're utterly present. There is no past or future here, just now, just breath, just sensation. This is what the Romans believed cold could do. Close the pores, seal the body, shock the humours back into balance, restore order to the internal world. It was the final necessary stage. No bath was complete without it. You linger just long enough to feel that shift, to feel your body awaken again, not in anxiety or hurry, but in clarity. A reminder that you are more than muscle and bone. You are a part of the cycle. Warmth, release, coolness, return. You wade slowly to the edge, the cold clinging like silk. As you emerge, your skin prickles in the open air, yet you feel neither heavy nor hollow. Instead, there is a lightness, a sharpened calm. You dry yourself with a clean linen cloth left near the benches. Your attendant, ever silent, hands you a small glass bottle of oil, lightly perfumed. You dab it across your collarbone, your wrists, the curve of your neck. The scent is soft, myrtle, with just a breath of citrus. It feels clean, like sunlight after rain. Others sit nearby in quiet conversation. Some are already dressed, sipping chilled water or eating figs dipped in honey. Some simply sit, eyes closed, their bodies steaming faintly in the cool air, like statues beginning to wake. You take your time here. No one rushes the final stillness. Some Romans believed the frigidarium was the most essential part of the bath, though it felt the least indulgent. It was in this chamber, they said, that the balance was restored. The meditatio corporis, the meditation of the body, reached its conclusion. The body remembered its edges. The mind returned to its roots. You were made whole again. You look around and realize how quiet it has become. No more gossip, no clink of bowls or murmurs of medical advice, just breath and the soft sound of cloth against skin. You feel as though you've walked not just through chambers of stone and heat, but through chambers of self, as if the baths were not just buildings, but a landscape you traversed, a geography of letting go, and now, at its edge, you sit. Calm, clear, cool. Soon you will dress. You will re-enter the world of Rome, the streets, the carts, the chatter and smoke. But the baths will stay with you, in the warmth still hiding beneath your skin, in the memory of steam rising, in the echo of dripping water and the scrape of bronze across your back. You are restored. You dress slowly, the linen tunic soft against your freshly oiled skin. The scent of myrtle lingers near your collar, warm now from your body's heat. You feel lighter than when you arrived, as if something, however small, has been left behind in the pools and chambers, something unnecessary, a worry maybe, a weight you didn't know you were carrying. Your sandals are waiting for you at the edge of the apoditerium, placed neatly where the boy left them. You nod to him in silent thanks. His face is unreadable, as always, but there is a flicker of recognition. You are not strangers in this ritual. You are both part of the rhythm. As you step back into the portico, the afternoon light greets you like an old friend. It is soft and amber now, the heat of midday starting to fade but still resting gently on the stones. Outside, the baths of Caracalla rise behind you, immense, serene, as though they are a dream half remembered. Their domes and colonnades loom above like a palace carved from time itself. The sounds of Rome resume, gradually at first. The distant call of a fruit vendor, the creak of cartwheels turning over stone, a group of boys shouting in playful Latin near a shaded fountain, the low hum of life, always moving. You take a moment to stand in the shade of an olive tree just beyond the bath's outer wall. The breeze brushes the folds of your tunic, lifting the edge slightly. Your skin is still warm to the touch, your pulse slow and steady. This moment of after, is part of the Roman bath experience too. Few people rush home once they're finished. It is common to linger, to stroll, to let the body settle. The act of bathing has not just prepared you for rest, it has prepared you for life. Nearby, a man in a blue-edged toga is meeting two others under a shaded portico. They've laid out tablets and styluses on a low table. They're speaking in hushed tones, scribbling agreements, making plans. You realise this is a common sight. Many Romans use the baths as a kind of neutral ground, a place to meet after shedding the dust of the day. Business is cleaner when hands are clean, politics smoother when skin glows from oil and heat. A small papina, or snack stall, stands just across the road. You walk toward it slowly, feeling your body rejoining the world. The smells here are sharper. Vinegar, cured meats, warm spelt bread. You exchange a few coins for a small bowl of olives and soft cheese and sit on a low wall to eat. Around you, other bathers are doing the same. Some speak softly, others simply watch the shadows move across the street. There is no haste. You feel deeply rooted in the present, and yet faintly distant from it, like watching your own life from a step behind. The baths do that. They draw you inward, then release you gently, as if returning a borrowed part of yourself. You finish your food, and wipe your hands with a clean cloth tucked in your belt. The oil on your skin has dried slightly, leaving behind a subtle sheen. You stretch, you breathe, and then you walk, not with purpose or urgency, but with presence. The streets of Rome open before you. You pass other bathers, men with damp hair, women fanning their faces with reeds, children skipping barefoot. Some are heading home to nap. Others will drift to taverns or join friends for early evening wine. You hear a lyre being played somewhere, soft and slow. It's a familiar tune, but you can't place it. It follows you a little as you walk. This is what a day at the baths has done for you. Not just washed your body, but peeled back the layers of noise. The buzz of the city is quieter now. Your thoughts are more fluid. your breath easier, and you begin to notice things again. A sparrow hopping between paving stones, a grapevine growing wild from a rooftop. The way someone's laugh seems to rise and catch in the late sunlight. The small things, the real things. You are clean, but not just washed, restored. As you walk through the quieter streets near the Palatine Hill, still wrapped in the gentle calm that followed your time at the baths, a thought lingers. This serenity you feel now, this lightness in the limbs, clarity in the mind, it is not accidental. It is the result of a system, a whole world of belief and practice that the Romans carried with them in every breath, every ritual, every bath. To understand the bathhouse, you must understand the Roman body, and to understand the Roman body you must think in 4 humours, not flesh and organs as we know today, but fluids, shifting, dynamic, temperamental. The Romans, like the Greeks before them, believed that the human body was governed by 4 essential substances: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Each humour had its own personality, its own temperature, its own emotional weight. Blood was warm and moist. It made one joyful, optimistic. Phlegm was cold and wet. It brought calm but could dull the senses. Yellow bile was hot and dry. It sparked anger and intensity. Black bile was cold and dry. It shadowed the soul with melancholy. To live well was to keep these humours balanced, not too much of any, not too little. The bathhouse was a balancing ground, a place where the physical and emotional self could be realigned through heat, steam, sweat, and cold. You begin to notice it now as you reflect. That gentle sequence of warmth, then heat, then cold. It mirrors the cycle of life, the rhythm of the seasons, even the emotional tides of a single day. You entered the tepidarium to ease the blood, to awaken the body slowly. Then came the caldarium, where heat drove out excesses, too much phlegm, a heaviness of spirit. The strigil scraping the skin removed more than dirt. It removed imbalances. It purified. And then, the final shock of the frigidarium, cool, crisp, like winter air, closed the pores and calmed the humours once more. This wasn't spa treatment, it was medicine. Even physicians like Galen, whose influence would last over 1,000 years, prescribed bathing not as luxury, but as prescription. If a man was too fiery, he was told to sweat in the caldarium, then drink cold barley water. If he was too cold and dull, he was advised to spend longer in the tepidarium, then walk briskly afterward to stimulate the blood. And yet, this system was not clinical. It was intimate. Romans did not see the body as a machine to be fixed. They saw it as a garden to be tended. Mood, diet, movement, temperature, rest. Bathing was not simply about removing dirt. It was about nurturing the internal weather. You pass a small herbalist stall now, near the foot of the hill. Jars of dried flowers line the shelves. Chamomile for sleep, thyme for congestion, laurel for strength. A young woman is asking for a mix to help with melancholy. The herbalist recommends a blend of mint and fennel, to be used with oil in the tepidarium. Let it seep into the skin, he says softly, before the heat draws it into the blood. Even the oils you used earlier, myrtle, lavender, rose, weren't chosen just for their scent. Each had meaning: myrtle for purification, lavender for clarity, rose for lifting the heart. The slaves who tended the oils knew this. They'd whisper advice to regular bathers: try sage next time, or rub a little bay leaf on the soles of your feet. Wellness was everywhere in Rome, if you knew how to look, and though they didn't know bacteria or cells or serotonin, the Romans understood something deeper, that the mind and body were linked through ritual, through care, through pace. The bath was one such ritual, a recalibration, a reset. You pause now at a small fountain. Water trickles gently from a bronze dolphin's mouth into a wide basin below. You dip your fingers in. It's cool, fresh. You splash a bit on your face, and the contrast, heat still lingering from the baths now kissed by cold, reminds you of that same balance: fire and water, motion and stillness. Above you a vine twists over an old stone wall, a cicada hums, a pair of older men are playing dice in a patch of shade, laughing softly at each other's curses. Life goes on, Rome turns, and you, clean, steady, balanced, move with it now. You are in harmony with your own humours, and the world briefly feels the same. You follow a gentle slope south, away from the great arches of the baths, toward a small shaded tavern nestled between cypress trees and vine-wrapped walls. It's a modest taberna venaria, with a modest kitchen and a narrow garden courtyard, but it's a favourite of yours. Not just because the food is good or the shade deep, but because here the world slows again. Not into sleep, not quite, but into that quiet state between thought and silence. You hear it before you see it, the soft tinkling of clay cups, the hush of wine poured from a tilted amphora, the murmur of laughter, lazy and deep. The stone path crunches underfoot as you enter through a low archway. A painted sign above the doorway reads Bene lava, Bene vive, wash well, live well. It's faded now, half-eaten by time, but still legible. Inside, the air is cooler. Shade drapes over the courtyard like cloth. Vines dangle from overhead trellises, heavy with early summer grapes. A fig tree leans against one wall, its roots stubbornly pressing between stones. You see a few familiar faces, others who left the baths not long ago. The steam still lingers in their hair, their skin glows faintly in the soft light, and then your friend sees you. He lifts a hand, smiles, not broadly, but in that calm, contented way that comes after heat and oil and silence. His tunic is simple, his hair slightly damp, a wine cup already in hand. You join him at the low marble table under a laurel tree, and he pours you a drink without needing to ask. The wine is light, diluted, as custom dictates, mixed with water, cool and slightly scented with herbs. You take a slow sip. It tastes of clay, of mint, of thyme. You feel it soften your limbs even further, as though your body has not quite finished its long exhale. He asks about your bath. You answer with a nod and a single word. Quiet. He understands. You speak slowly. About nothing and everything. About a new senator whose speeches are filled with metaphors but empty of ideas. About a book you've half finished. Some Greek treatise on the soul, too dense to read in full. About the baker who keeps overcooking the crust but never the crumb. Your friend tells you of a dream he had in the caldarium. A lion, a ship, a child with eyes like polished bronze. You both agree it meant nothing, or maybe everything. Nearby, a girl plays a soft tune on a small reed pipe, her melody weaving through the courtyard like a breeze. Someone hums along. Your food arrives on a terracotta platter. Dates, warm bread, a soft goat cheese wrapped in fig leaves. You eat slowly, not out of etiquette, but because the body no longer craves haste. There's time now, there's always time after the bath. Your friend mentions a memory. How, years ago during a dry summer, the baths of Nero had run cold for days. Everyone had crowded instead into a smaller, older balneum, and how strangely intimate it had felt. You had been there too. You recall the tiny caldarium with its cracked floor tiles, the way the water smelled faintly of minerals and moss. You laugh quietly at the shared remembrance. These bathhouses aren't just rituals, they're part of your life's timeline, like notches on a vine-covered wall. The sun has begun to dip lower, casting the garden in soft amber. The shadows lengthen, brushing the edges of your robes. The fig leaves above rustle faintly like soft whispers. Your second cup of wine is slower than the first. It sits on your tongue with the ease of familiarity. Your conversation fades naturally, gently. No pressure to speak, no need to perform, just presence. This too is part of the Roman wellness tradition. Not just bathing, not just scraping oil from skin, but connection. Slow, embodied, human. Romans understood the value of time spent with others after cleansing. To drink, to reflect, to laugh in low voices, to absorb the silence left behind by the bath. In the corner, a man reads aloud from a scroll. Not for performance, but for pleasure. His voice is low and even. Saepe lavari, raro bibere vinum ardens, vitam longam facies. Bathe often, drink strong wine rarely, and your life will be long. Your friend nods and smiles faintly, not at the quote, but at the simple wisdom of it. You toast quietly without words. The fig tree's shadow now touches the wine jug. The garden air grows cooler. Evening, slow and blue, begins to press at the edge of the sky, but you're not in a hurry. You've been washed, warmed, scraped, and soothed, and now shared. You are whole. The wine has faded gently in your limbs, your friend has said his farewell, and you walk again through the shaded streets of Rome. Calm, unhurried, eyes open not just to your own quiet thoughts, but to the rhythms around you. And what you begin to notice, now that you've stepped outside your own ritual, is how universal the bath has become. In every district of Rome, from the grandeur of the Palatine to the crowded alleys of the Subura, bathhouses form the pulse of the city's daily rhythm. They are not rare, they are not elite, they are everywhere. In fact, by the 4th century CE, there will be over 900 public baths in the city of Rome alone. Some vast and glittering, like the baths of Caracalla you just left, others simple and narrow, tucked between apartments and grain shops. Some are free, their cost covered by the emperor. Others charge a single coin, cheaper than a loaf of bread, and yet, regardless of size or splendour, the baths serve one function: to bring everyone into the rhythm of heat and water. You begin to reflect as you walk on who you've shared the chambers with over the years. A senator's son, his hair still oiled in curls, fretting about Cicero's speeches. A retired soldier, missing 2 fingers, laughing too loudly in the caldarium. A baker's wife, humming tunelessly as she oils her arms. A young slave boy, cleaning the floors before sneaking a moment in the frigidarium, alone. There's something deeply Roman about this. Equality in water. It was one of the empire's quiet revolutions, this idea that the bath was not reserved for the rich, that any citizen, no matter how worn or ordinary, deserved warmth, cleansing, and a place to sit in steam and speak. Even slaves could bathe, sometimes at different hours, sometimes in different chambers, but still, they too were granted access to that essential restoration. The same steam, the same stone. And the emperors? They bathed too. Some came disguised, mingling with the common crowds. Hadrian, it is said, would occasionally enter quietly without guard or escort, and speak with bricklayers and merchants, gathering the mood of the people. Caracalla, whose great Thermae now rise behind you, built the most magnificent baths Rome had ever seen. Not as a gift to senators, but to the city itself. Even the poorest could walk beneath his marble arches and sit beside mosaics of gods. There is an ideological beauty in that. Rome, for all its brutality, believed deeply in ritual and rhythm, that a day could be shaped by steam and silence, that health was not simply survival, but order, in the body, in society. But of course, not all was equal. Women, though permitted to bathe, often did so at different times or in separate sections. In many baths, men and women were strictly divided, sometimes by law, sometimes by social pressure. A few emperors, Marcus Aurelius for instance, attempted to open mixed bathing again, while others, like Hadrian, forbade it outright. It varied from time to time, city to city, and those without Roman citizenship, foreigners, non-citizens, travellers, often found themselves unwelcome in the grander Thermae, nudged instead toward the smaller Balnea, the more rustic versions of the ritual. Still, many found a way to bathe, because the draw of the bath was universal. You didn't need Latin to feel your muscles loosen in steam. You pass a modest balneum now, as the sky deepens toward twilight. Its walls are older, the facade cracked, but inside you see the soft flicker of lamplight and the quiet movement of shadows beyond the threshold. Someone has just stepped out, skin glistening, hair damp. He carries his sandals in one hand. A young man, no older than 20. He looks like he could sleep for 100 years. You recognize that expression. You wore it earlier. And so the rhythm continues. Bather after bather, heat and scrape, chill and silence. Across Rome, across Ostia, across the empire, from Britain to Alexandria to Antioch, the same chambers echo with the same sounds. Water dripping from stone, the low hum of conversation, the soft rustle of linen robes. Each bathhouse has its own personality, of course. Some are lively, filled with music, laughter, even arguments. Others are quiet, more like temples, but all share the same basic blueprint. You could walk into a bathhouse in Leptis Magna, in distant North Africa, and know exactly where to step, where to undress, how to move from room to room. The architecture becomes a language, the ritual, a dialect of empire. And that is what strikes you now, as you pause under the eaves of a tavern, watching the street grow bluer with dusk. That the bathhouse was not just about health, it was about Romanness, about belonging. Even if you were poor, even if you had no name or land, if you could sit on the hot stone bench of a caldarium, sweat beside a senator or a scholar, and breathe the same thick air, you were, in some small way, part of the world's most powerful civilization. You were within the marble heartbeat of the empire, and that, perhaps, is what the Romans understood most of all, that wellness was not private, it was shared. The evening air is heavy now, still warm from the day's heat, but tempered by a soft breeze coming in off the Tiber. You turn down a quiet lane, away from the clamour of carts and lamps, and your feet find their way, almost unconsciously, back toward the baths of Caracalla. Not to bathe again, your skin still remembers the heat, but to see what lies beneath. And there, just beyond the perimeter wall, a service entrance sits open, barely visible to passers-by. You step inside, not into the grandeur of the frigidarium or caldarium, but into the narrow stone corridors that feed them, the secret world beneath the marble, the bones of the bath. It smells faintly of ash and warm clay. The light here is low and flickering, oil lamps only. The shadows are thick but soft, and here you begin to understand the true miracle of Roman bathing. This entire structure is alive with fire. You're walking through the hypocaust, a raised subfloor chamber where slaves once fed roaring flames into brick furnaces, the Prefurnia, with aching arms and soot-blackened faces. This fire, carefully channeled, heated the air beneath the floors of the caldarium and tepidarium, warming the stones from below, radiating into the walls through vertical flues or tubuli. The heat moves upward, gently but with purpose. Stone panels above grow warm to the touch. Bronze vents regulate the temperature. The entire bathhouse is a machine of air, silent and constant, tended like a hearth for the entire city. And none of this is accidental. The bricks here are stamped, legacies of the workshops that made them, some owned by noble families, others by the state itself. Water flows in stone pipes above you, delivered from the great Aqua Marcia aqueduct, one of the longest and purest in the empire. It runs for over 90 kilometres, bringing cold, clear water from the distant hills to the very heart of Rome. The cold pools, the fountains, even the misting basins, fed and drained by a network you can't see, but you know it's there. The ground beneath your feet is threaded with it. Roman engineers planned these baths not as buildings but as systems. Every chamber, every vault, every niche was calculated. You climb a narrow stair now, out of the furnace corridor and into a long empty hall once used by attendants. You pause, listen. Even now, with the bathhouse mostly closed and only a few distant workers still within, the echoes remain. The soundscape of the baths was designed with intention. High-vaulted ceilings didn't just lend majesty, they shaped resonance. In the caldarium, sounds bounced slowly, heavy, like breaths in steam. In the frigidarium, sharper, faster echoes danced across the chilled water. In the natatio, the great open-air swimming pool, the ambient noise of splashes and shouts dissolved into the open sky. The Romans were not just builders, they were acoustic artists. The bathhouse was not silent, nor chaotic. It had a rhythm, a tone. Even conversation changed depending on the room. A whisper in the tepidarium felt sacred, while laughter in the apoditerium was expected. You run your fingers along a cracked mosaic wall now, half faded but still vivid in parts. A dolphin leaps over a wave. Beside it, a nereid reclines. Her hair coiled like a vine. Art was part of the experience too, not for decoration alone, but to elevate the state of mind. The baths were a place of beauty as well as function. Columns of Egyptian granite stood near walls faced with polished Numidian marble. Statues of Apollo, Venus, Asclepius, the gods of healing and light, watched over bathers like silent guardians. Even the benches were carved with care. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was without thought. You move slowly now into the natatio, the open-air pool, its wide basin drained and dappled with moonlight. The water is gone, but the shape remains. Even empty, the space feels full. The sky above is a deep indigo, the stars soft and distant. You sit at the edge of the stone pool, legs folded beneath you, and you let your mind drift. Imagine this space filled with water, children paddling, athletes diving, elderly men floating on their backs, eyes closed. A place not of noise but of motion, fluid, slow, shared. All made possible by the invisible fire beneath, the silent pipes above, the geometry of warmth and air and patience. You breathe in, and you realize something. The Romans did not build these places only for their bodies, they built them for continuity, to hold their days together, to organize life with care. A bath was not an escape, it was a ritual of re-entry, into the self, into society, into stillness. And every stone, every mosaic, every chamber speaks that truth. You stay seated for a while longer in the shadow of the empty pool, the wind rustles the vine on the far wall, somewhere below a furnace breathes its last flame for the day, and above you the city of Rome sleeps lightly, with warm skin and softened hearts. You sit now on a smooth stone bench in a quieter corner of the bathhouse, the fading light casting long shadows across the mosaic floor. Around you lie the small, humble implements of the Roman bather, tools worn smooth by countless hands. First, your eyes settle on the strigil, a curved metal scraper, often made of bronze or iron. It's simple but elegant, shaped like a slender sickle, with a polished surface that still faintly catches the light. This was your constant companion after the steamy plunge and the oiling ritual. The strigil's purpose: to scrape away the oil, sweat, and dirt from your skin, cleansing not with water alone but by rubbing and scraping, a sensation both strange and satisfying. You reach out and imagine the weight in your hand, not heavy, but deliberate. You remember the sound it made, faint and rhythmic, the soft scrape against damp skin, a whisper of friction. It was not a harsh act, but a cleansing one, a tactile dialogue between your hand and your body. Beside it rests a small glass unguentarium, a delicate flask, its narrow neck stained faintly with dried oil. The Romans loved their oils, scented and unguented with herbs and flowers, rose, lavender, myrrh. After bathing, you would pour a small amount into your palm and gently rub it over your skin, sealing in moisture and softness against the drying heat. The oil wasn't just about hygiene, it was about health. Romans believed it kept the skin supple and strong, warded off the chill, and even prevented illness. You recall the sweet, faintly floral smell of the oil lingering in the air, mixing with the scent of heated stone and water. Nearby lies a small woven basket, lined with soft linen. Inside, clean strips of cloth, a fresh sponge, and a tiny pot of fragrant powder, likely pulvis, a fine dust used to absorb excess moisture and refresh the skin after oiling. You remember how you'd lightly dust yourself with it, the powder cool and dry, smoothing the transition from warm baths to cooler air. Each tool, though simple, was part of a carefully choreographed ritual. The bath was never just about washing. It was about the performance of care, about attention to detail, to touch, to smell, to rhythm. You remember how the slaves or attendants would assist the wealthier bathers, expertly wielding the strigil or applying oil with gentle, practiced hands. But even for ordinary citizens, these tools were personal possessions, carried from home to bathhouse in small leather pouches, treasured and well used. The ritual moved slowly. First the immersion, then the oil, then the scrape, then powder, and often the application of a scented balm afterward. Sometimes a final rinse in the frigidarium to close the pores and awaken the senses. You run your hand over the imagined smooth curve of the strigil again, feeling the memory of touch in your fingertips. It strikes you how intimate these tools were, how private and yet public. You would share space with hundreds, maybe thousands, but your strigil was uniquely yours, your oil mixed with your sweat and your skin. They marked your day, your body, your moment of calm amid the city's noise. And beneath all this, a belief in the healing power of touch. Romans didn't just wash to be clean, they washed to be well, to renew their spirits as well as their skin. The strigil was a humble instrument of this renewal, scraping away more than just dirt but weariness, tension, the day's invisible burdens. As you sit quietly among these imagined tools, you feel the soft fading of light through the bath's arches, the distant murmurs of other bathers, the gentle drip of water from a fountain nearby, the stones beneath your feet still warm from the hippocost's breath. You take a deep breath, the scent of oil and damp stone filling your senses, slow and steady, and you know this ritual will be waiting for you tomorrow, and the next day, and many days after that. Because in Rome, to bathe was to live. You find yourself in the open-air palestra, a large rectangular courtyard bordered by colonnades of smooth marble columns, standing cool and white beneath the bright Roman sun. The air here smells faintly of dust, sweat, and freshly cut grass. The ground is firm earth, flattened by countless feet and the weight of many games. Around you, the sounds of bodies in motion fill the space. Grunts of exertion, the slap of sandals on dirt, and the low murmur of conversations rising and falling like waves. This is the gymnasium of the baths, a place where bathing was not merely about cleansing, but about strengthening and displaying the body. You watch a group of young men engaged in wrestling, their muscles gleaming under the midday sun, faces set in concentration. Their movements are fluid and practiced, a dance of offence and defence, grappling for advantage on the soft earth. Nearby, others practice with wooden swords, their strikes careful and deliberate, teaching both skill and discipline. You notice the variety of people here. Some are soldiers sharpening their combat readiness. Others are aristocrats keen on physical culture and reputation. A few older men sit under the shade of the colonnades, watching quietly, offering advice, or simply enjoying the spectacle. The palestra isn't just a gym, it's a social arena. Patrons lounge on stone benches, chatting about politics, philosophy, and the latest news from the Senate or distant provinces. It's common to see debates erupt spontaneously between spectators, their voices rising and falling amid the rhythm of the games. Women, although often barred from the larger baths, sometimes exercised in private palestrae attached to smaller facilities or villas. In these spaces, the ideals of beauty and fitness were quietly nurtured, alongside the more public displays of strength. The palestra's design invites movement and interaction. Its open sky reminds you of the world beyond stone and water. Here, the Romans valued balance, the harmony between mind and body, leisure and labour, health and society. You can imagine the slow rhythm of the day. After an hour or two of vigorous exercise, dust and sweat mixing on skin, bathers would proceed to the baths themselves, first to the warm tepidarium to soothe tired muscles, then into the steamy caldarium, and finally to the refreshing plunge of the frigidarium. Sometimes, after exercise, bathers might also visit the oleum vendor, the oil seller, whose fragrant concoctions would be applied to aching limbs. Massage and rubbing with oils were common to ease soreness and improve circulation. The palestra's space is also a stage for youth and ambition. Young men show off their prowess, hoping to impress peers and patrons alike. In the Roman world, physical fitness was closely tied to virtue and honour, a reflection of one's discipline and place within society. As you stand in the centre of the palestra, the warm breeze carrying the mixed scents of earth, sweat and oil, you sense a deep connection to those who moved here before you. Their stories, their efforts, their laughter and struggles still echo faintly in the air. The palestra is not just a place of motion but of life itself, a living testament to the Roman belief that body and spirit were forever intertwined, that to care for one was to nurture the other. Slowly the sun begins to dip lower, shadows stretch across the courtyard. The wrestlers tire and settle down, conversations soften into easy camaraderie, and as the day in the baths winds down, you feel the gentle pull toward the next stage, the ritual cleansings and the quiet reflections that follow. The pale light of late afternoon softens as you settle into a quiet corner near the bath's exit, a place where fewer voices reach you. Here, you can feel the calm pulse beneath the daily bustle, the subtle rhythms of ancient health and healing that guided every dip and scrape, every breath in steam. To the Romans, the body was a microcosm of the universe, a delicate system in constant flux. Central to their understanding was the idea of the four humours: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. These fluids flowed through the body, each representing qualities like heat, cold, dryness, and moisture. Health was balance, illness was imbalance, and the bath was the stage on which this balance was carefully tended. You recall how the caldarium, with its hot, steamy air, was thought to open the pores and expel excess cold or phlegmatic dampness. The heat encouraged sweating, which in turn purified the blood and strengthened the body's inner fire. Moving to the tepidarium, a room warmed gently but not overwhelmingly, allowed the body to adjust, softening muscles, easing tension. The frigidarium, by contrast, was a shock to the system, a sudden plunge into cold water to close pores, invigorate the blood, and restore equilibrium after the heat's fiery sweep. This contrast was believed to stimulate circulation, much like the rising and falling tides. Oils played their part too, not merely for scent or softness, but as therapeutic agents. Certain oils were infused with herbs believed to strengthen the skin, soothe aches, or calm the mind. Lavender for relaxation, myrrh for purification, and pine to ease breathing. Exercise in the palestra was more than physical training. It was a way to maintain the proper flow of humours, preventing stagnation and excess. Sweating during exertion was seen as an important detoxifying ritual. Physicians and philosophers often debated the best practices. Some advocated longer time in the heat, others cautioned against overdoing it. It was a balance, an art as much as a science. You feel the echo of these beliefs in your own body, the warmth lingering on your skin, the gentle pulse of renewed blood flow, the subtle scent of oil still clinging softly. The bathhouse was a place of ritual, but also of intimate healing. You notice now how the entire process, the bathing, the scraping, the oils, the exercise, was designed to nurture this balance every day, weaving wellness into the fabric of life. As the evening deepens, the hum of the city softens and the bathhouse prepares to close. You stand, feeling the steady warmth of your skin and the calm that follows ritual care. The ancient wisdom of the humours may seem distant now, but in the steady rhythm of water and heat, you find a quiet comfort. A reminder that wellness is a journey, one that begins with gentle attention, with the slow choreography of cleansing and care. You find yourself in the heart of the bath complex, the apoditerium, the changing room, a large vaulted hall lined with niches for clothing and small wooden lockers, carved with initials and symbols. The scent here is a mix of damp stone, olive oil, and faint traces of herbs. Your footsteps echo softly against the marble. Around you, the murmur of voices rises and falls, a rich tapestry of conversation threading through the cool air. This was a place as much for connection as for cleansing. People came not only to wash their bodies but to meet, to gossip, to argue, and to build the bonds that held Roman society together. You hear snippets of debate, politics, poetry, the latest theatrical performances in the forum. Men in togas lean close in quiet discussion, while slaves and attendants move swiftly, bringing fresh towels or oil. In one corner, you catch the warm laughter of a group of friends, sharing jokes and stories from the day. Their ease with one another speaks of long acquaintance and trust. Nearby, a merchant discusses business with a client, gesturing animatedly over the noise. You notice how the baths cut across social boundaries. Senators mingled with artisans, soldiers exchanged news with scholars. Though hierarchies remained, the baths were a rare place of relative equality, where status softened in the steam and shared ritual. Evenings were often spent here, long after the sun had set, the lamps casting a soft glow on marble and mosaic. Philosophers and teachers might gather to lecture informally, their voices steady and calm, while younger men listened intently. Women, though often restricted from the larger baths, sometimes had their own spaces nearby. In these quieter corners, they exchanged news and comfort, their presence an essential part of the social fabric. You sense how important these interactions were, how much life, both public and private, flowed through the steam-filled halls. The baths were a living network, a place where alliances were formed, rumours spread, and friendships deepened. As you move slowly through the space, your skin still warm and slightly oily, you feel a quiet contentment settle over you. Here, amid the soft chatter and flowing water, the world outside fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of shared humanity. The bathhouse is not just stone and water, it is a vessel for stories, for laughter, for connection, a place where the everyday becomes sacred, held gently in the warmth of friendship and ritual. You take a deep breath, savouring the mingled scents and sounds, and feel yourself becoming part of this ancient chorus, one voice among many, carried softly on the Roman air. You linger now in a quieter chamber near the edge of the bath complex, where the marble cools beneath your fingertips and the air hums softly with the distant murmur of water. This was a place often visited not just for leisure, but for healing, a space where the line between medicine and ritual gently blurred. In the Roman world, health was as much about balance and harmony as it was about treatment. The baths themselves were seen as a form of therapy, their waters believed to carry healing powers. Hot springs, rich in minerals, were especially prized, though in the city the water was mostly fresh, delivered through vast aqueducts. You imagine physicians moving quietly through the crowds, their hands steady and eyes attentive. These men, and sometimes women, offered more than simple advice. Some specialized in bloodletting, using carefully crafted lancets to draw what they believed was excess blood from veins, a practice meant to restore the body's equilibrium. Nearby, you see a bather applying a poultice of crushed herbs, perhaps willow bark or rue, to a swollen ankle. Herbal remedies were common, a mixture of tradition and experimentation passed down through generations. You recall stories of sweating cures, where bathers would spend long hours in the hot rooms, wrapped in blankets or heavy cloaks, to induce profuse sweating. This was thought to purge toxins and cleanse the blood. The ritual was taxing, sometimes risky, but believed essential for maintaining vitality. The baths also housed masseurs and rubbers, skilled attendants who used oils, fingers, and wooden tools to soothe aches and stimulate circulation. Massage was a respected part of healing, a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Some visitors sought spiritual healing as well. Shrines to gods like Asclepius, the god of medicine, dotted the bath complexes. Pilgrims would leave offerings and prayers, hoping for divine intervention alongside human care. Strange as some remedies seem now, these practices were part of a coherent system where body, mind, and spirit intertwined. Illness was often seen as a disruption of natural forces, and healing required both physical treatments and attention to lifestyle, diet, exercise, rest. The bath was a theatre for this delicate dance, a place where suffering might be eased by warmth, touch, and community. You sit quietly in this chamber, the soft drip of water like a heartbeat around you. The scent of herbs lingers in the air, mingling with the faint metallic tang of healing instruments. As the light fades, you sense the timelessness of these ancient efforts to care for the self, to find balance amid the fragility of life. The baths were more than a refuge. They were a crucible of hope, resilience, and the gentle pursuit of wellness. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting long golden fingers through the colonnades, you find yourself wandering toward a spacious hall adjoining the baths. Here, the air is lighter, alive with the gentle murmur of voices and the delicate plucking of a lyre. The Romans believed that wellness was not just physical, but also a harmony of mind and spirit. After the sweat, the scrapes, and the healing touches came a time to rest, to enjoy, to be present in simple pleasures. You notice groups gathered on stone benches, some engaged in quiet conversation, others listening intently as a poet recites verses in measured, soothing tones. The words weave stories of gods and heroes, of love and loss, echoing softly against the marble walls. Nearby, musicians pluck strings and tap gentle rhythms on small drums, their melodies drifting like a soft breeze. Occasionally a group breaks into laughter at a witty tale or clever jest, the sound ringing clear and warm. The bathhouse becomes a sanctuary of calm celebration, a place where the mind can roam free while the body stills in comfort. Children dart quietly among the columns, their bright eyes reflecting the flicker of oil lamps that will soon be lit. In corners, artisans displayed delicate trinkets, small sculptures, painted tiles, fragrant wreaths, reminders that beauty and creativity were intertwined with daily life. You feel the soothing balance of activity and rest, a gentle reminder that, even in the midst of ritual and routine, moments of joy and connection flourish. As evening deepens, the lamps glow softly, casting flickering shadows and bathing the hall in a warm embrace. You settle into the rhythm of soft voices and music, your breath slowing, your body growing heavier with calm. The day's cares, the city's noise, the outside world, all recede into the gentle hush of shared humanity. Here, in this ancient hall, you find a quiet refuge, a space where the past and present meet, where stories live on in the soft glow of fading light. The sun has slipped beneath the horizon now, and the bathhouse begins to empty. The lively murmurs and laughter soften into whispers, footsteps slow, and the warm glow of oil lamps flickers gently along the marble walls. You stand near the apoditerium once more, the changing room now quieter, bathed in soft amber light. The cool air of the evening brushes against your skin, a subtle contrast to the lingering warmth left by the baths. You wrap yourself in a linen cloak, the fabric fresh and comforting against your body. Before stepping outside, you pause to run your fingers over the smooth stone bench where you first laid down your garments. The faint scent of olive oil still clings to your skin, mingling with the cool night air. Outside, the city feels different in the quiet hours. The noise of the marketplace has faded, replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves and distant calls of night birds. The cobbled streets glisten faintly under the light of the moon, and scattered oil lamps hung along the way. As you walk home, your footsteps slow, each step measured and calm. The baths have been a refuge, a space where time seemed to stretch and fold, a moment away from the constant hum of Roman life. You feel the effects of the day's ritual settling deep within, muscles relaxed, mind softened, the body light and refreshed. The baths have cleansed not only your skin but your spirit, leaving behind a quiet contentment that follows you into the night. At your door you pause and breathe deeply. The cool night air carries the scent of distant flowers and warm earth. You think of the day ahead, the return to work, to family, to the city's unending pulse. But for now, there is rest. The bathhouse will wait for you tomorrow. The same steady rhythm of water, stone and steam ready to welcome you back. And as you step inside, the world grows soft, quiet, inviting sleep to gently close your eyes. The sky is just beginning to pale, a soft wash of pink and lavender stretching slowly across the horizon. The city stirs quietly, but the bathhouse is already alive with a different kind of energy, a calm, measured beginning. You arrive before the crowds, the marble cool beneath your feet, the air crisp and faintly scented with dew and olive trees. The first attendants move silently through the spaces, lighting lamps, stirring fires beneath the hippocausts that will warm the floors and pools. There is a sacredness to this early hour, a time when the baths are touched by silence and anticipation. The steady drip of water echoes gently, a steady heartbeat beneath the awakening world. You feel the coolness of the morning air brushing your skin, a reminder of the day's potential and the rituals to come. The baths will soon fill with visitors, some seeking quiet meditation, others the social bustle. But for now, it is a time for preparation and quiet reflection. You pause in the tepidarium, watching the soft steam begin to rise as the room warms, a gentle promise of comfort and renewal. The pools glisten, still undisturbed, reflecting the first light like mirrors of liquid stone. In this moment, you sense the timeless rhythm of the baths, a cycle of cleansing and care, of retreat and return. The day stretches before you, full of possibilities, each visitor about to step into the same ritual dance of body and spirit. And as you prepare to join them, you feel the gentle pull of routine, the quiet grace of a day shaped by water, warmth, and timeless tradition. The soft light of morning filters through the open arches of the bath complex as the first few visitors arrive, their footsteps gentle against the polished marble floors. The air still holds the coolness of night, mingling with the faint warmth beginning to seep from the hippocausts below. You find yourself among these early risers, perhaps a modest merchant, a scholar seeking calm before the city awakes, or a retired soldier drawn by the steady comfort of routine. Each comes with their own purpose, yet all share a quiet reverence for this daily ritual. Some move slowly toward the frigidarium, dipping toes cautiously into the cold water, letting the chill awaken their senses and steady their breath. Others choose the warmth of the tepidarium, lingering where the air is soft and inviting, muscles easing into wakefulness. You notice a figure seated near the pool's edge, silently watching the water ripple, lost in thought. Their faces calm, their breath even. This moment of stillness, a personal meditation amid the hum of beginnings. Attendants move unobtrusively, readying oils, preparing towels, maintaining the pools with practiced care. The bathhouse feels alive yet tranquil, a place where time stretches gently, unhurried. The early visitors exchange few words, their interactions marked by nods and soft greetings rather than the bustling chatter of midday. Here, in these quiet hours, the baths offer a different kind of sanctuary, one of introspection, preparation, and subtle connection. You allow yourself to settle into this rhythm, feeling the slow, steady pulse of the day's first moments, where cleansing is not only of the body but of the mind, preparing you to face the world beyond the marble walls. The gentle warmth of the rising sun touches your skin as it climbs higher, promising the gradual unfolding of the day ahead. The bathhouse in mid-morning hums softly with a new kind of energy, not the lively chatter of crowds, but the measured voices of philosophers, poets, and students gathered in quiet groups. The warm air is heavy with steam, carrying faint scents of olive oil and herbs, wrapping every word in a gentle embrace. You find yourself drawn toward a shaded portico, where a small group listens intently as an elder philosopher, his toga draped loosely, speaks with calm authority. His voice is low, steady, inviting reflection rather than debate. The subject drifts from ethics to the nature of the soul, to the fleeting beauty of life, timeless questions floating on the warm air. Nearby, a young poet reads verses softly, the words weaving images of love, loss, and the passing seasons. The listeners close their eyes, letting the rhythm and imagery settle deep within, a soothing balm to the mind. Students take notes on wax tablets, their fingers tracing careful letters, absorbing knowledge as much as warmth. The bathhouse becomes a living classroom, where learning flows as freely as water. You notice how the communal nature of the baths fosters this exchange, a place where body and mind are cleansed in tandem, where the pulse of thought and the rhythm of ritual beat together. Occasionally, laughter ripples through the group, a light moment, a shared joke, a playful challenge to an idea. It feels intimate, a connection deeper than mere conversation. The cool marble beneath your feet contrasts with the heat of the steam and the fire of ideas kindling in the air. Here, amidst the gentle cascade of water and voices, you sense the intertwining of physical and intellectual nourishment. As you listen, you feel the timelessness of this space. How centuries ago, just as now, people sought not only to care for their bodies, but to feed their spirits. The bathhouse is more than a place of cleansing. It is a sanctuary of thought, a quiet harbour where wisdom flows as freely as water. The gentle murmur of flowing water is the constant heartbeat of the baths, a rhythmic backdrop to all that unfolds within the marble walls. Beneath this steady pulse lies a richer tapestry of sound, a world crafted by careful musicians, storytellers, and the very architecture itself. You find yourself seated near a rounded archway, where the acoustics carry voices and instruments with a softness that soothes the soul. A lyre's delicate strings ripple through the warm air, their notes light and airy, like birdsong mingling with the steam. Nearby, a flute weaves gentle melodies, its breathy tones floating effortlessly, drawing a calm hush over the gathered bathers. The music seems to dance with the flickering light, wrapping the space in a cocoon of sound. Occasionally a single voice rises, clear and steady, a bard or singer sharing a quiet song, perhaps an ode to the gods or a tender love ballad. The notes linger in the air, falling softly like petals onto the stone floor. The bathhouse itself is alive with its own music, the soft slap of feet on wet marble, the gentle splash of bodies entering pools, the distant clink of oil flasks and vessels. Even the echoes, bouncing gently between walls and columns, seem composed, part of the deliberate harmony. You notice how this careful layering of sound creates a sanctuary, a sensory experience that calms the mind and deepens the sense of peace. Music in the baths is not mere entertainment. It is part of the ritual of restoration, a balm for the spirit. The murmur of voices, the plucking of strings, the whisper of water, these sounds weave together, inviting you to breathe slower, sink deeper, and let go. You close your eyes briefly, allowing the soft music and quiet murmurs to wash over you, like a gentle tide carrying you toward rest. Here, in the warm embrace of stone and steam, sound becomes a bridge between body and soul, an unseen thread knitting together the day's unfolding story. As you step slowly through the vast spaces of the bath complex, the marble cool and smooth beneath your feet, you begin to notice the quiet, almost invisible patterns that govern how people move, speak, and relate here. The Roman baths were not merely places of leisure or hygiene. They were intricate social theatres, where every gesture carried meaning, every glance suggested a story, and the unspoken rules shaped the flow of the day. The baths by nature were communal, naked bodies mingled in pools and steam rooms, but despite this openness, there was an understood decorum, an invisible code that balanced intimacy with respect. You feel the weight of these customs as you observe. First, there was the importance of discretion. Though bathing was public, conversations were held in soft tones, and personal boundaries were honoured. People avoided staring, and conversation seldom drifted into harsh or contentious subjects. The baths were a refuge from the day's stresses, a place to relax, not to provoke. You notice how people greet one another, a nod, a brief smile, sometimes a polite embrace. These simple acts acknowledge presence without intruding. Strangers might share space in pools or on benches with ease, each respecting the other's silence or invitation to converse. Certain spaces within the baths carried their own social weight. The appetiterium, where clothes were stored, was a place of transition. Here, glances flickered, and whispered exchanges could hint at alliances, rumours, or flirtations. Yet even here, a gentle respect prevailed, a tacit understanding that some things were private even in public. In the pools, you sense a rhythm to movement, people avoiding sudden splashes, swimming with slow, deliberate strokes or resting quietly at the edges. In the steam rooms, conversation is quieter, more intimate, but still respectful of the shared vulnerability. The role of attendants and slaves also followed strict customs. They moved unobtrusively, their gestures polite but deferential, knowing when to offer help and when to leave guests alone. Their presence was a subtle thread holding the social fabric intact. Bathing sessions themselves were often timed carefully. Many Romans followed routines, spending certain periods in hot rooms, others in cooler pools, pacing their time to maximize comfort and health benefits. To stay too long or to rush was seen as improper, a disturbance of the delicate balance. You also perceive a deeper layer of social dynamics, the baths as places where hierarchy softened but did not disappear. Senators might share a bench with merchants, but subtle cues, tone of voice, posture, and attire still spoke volumes. The baths were a stage where social roles were both enacted and quietly negotiated. Respect for the space itself was paramount. Visitors walked gently, spoke softly, and treated the marble and mosaics with care. Littering or loud disputes were frowned upon, reminders that this was a place of sanctity, both physical and social. You pause for a moment, taking in the elegant choreography of daily life here, the way bodies and voices flow together with unspoken understanding, the graceful balance of exposure and privacy, camaraderie and solitude. It feels as though the baths themselves breathe with this harmony, a living organism sustained by the mutual respect and delicate customs of its visitors. Here, in this timeless space, you see how community is woven not only through shared spaces, but through the quiet, gentle rituals of everyday kindness and restraint. As you move forward, you carry with you a deeper sense of connection, not just to the people here, but to the subtle, beautiful patterns that make any shared place a home. You find yourself once again in the gentle warmth of the bath complex, where the marble gleams softly beneath your hands and the air carries a delicate bouquet of herbs and scented oils. The bathing ritual, so much more than mere washing, unfolds here into a carefully orchestrated dance of grooming and beautification, an art form cultivated over centuries. The first step in this personal ceremony is the application of oils. After soaking in the warm waters of the caldarium, you pick up a small vessel of fragrant olive oil, its surface shimmering gold in the soft light. The oil is warm, comforting, sliding smoothly over your skin in slow, deliberate strokes. This was no hurried task. The oil softened the skin, sealed moisture within, and prepared you for the next distinctive step, the use of the strigil, a curved metal scraper, held firmly but gently. You bring the strigil to your arm, pressing lightly as you draw it downward. With each stroke, the tool removes not just excess oil, but the layer of sweat, dirt, and dead skin that clings after hours of activity. The scraping produces a faint sound, soft, rhythmic, like whispers against the stone. This ritual of scraping is both cleansing and soothing, an ancient practice that Roman physicians and bathers alike believed crucial to maintaining healthy skin and invigorating circulation. It is a moment of tactile connection, the cool metal gliding smoothly over warmed flesh. Next comes the careful attention to hair and scalp. Some visitors, particularly women, would apply fragrant powders made from ground flowers or herbs, rose petals, lavender or myrtle, dusting their hair to leave a subtle scent that lingered throughout the day. Others used oils infused with rosemary or cinnamon, their aromatic qualities thought to stimulate growth and refresh the senses. Mirrors, rare and precious, might be held up to check the work, though the practice of grooming was often communal, with friends or attendants helping to style hair or apply cosmetics. You see delicate touches of cosmetics as well, powders to brighten the face, subtle rouge for cheeks, kohl to darken lashes and highlight the eyes. Though the Romans prized natural beauty, these enhancements were part of the ritual's ceremony, a gentle celebration of self-care and presentation. Hands and nails, too, received their share of attention, softened by oils, cleaned, and sometimes lightly scented. The bathhouse's quiet corners sometimes hosted those skilled in manicure and pedicure, their work blending hygiene with elegance. Amidst these rituals, the atmosphere is peaceful yet purposeful, a shared respect for the body as a temple of vitality and grace. The act of grooming here is slow and mindful, a time to honour oneself amid the bustle of city life. The fragrances in the air swirl together, the earthy olive oil, the sweet floral powders, the faint smoky notes of lamp oil. Each scent weaves into the experience, wrapping you in a cocoon of sensory pleasure. As you move through these rituals, you sense how they are both practical and symbolic. Ways to cleanse, yes, but also to prepare for the world beyond the baths, to face others with confidence and care. The process is intimate, almost meditative, and you feel the weight of time dissolve, replaced by a quiet presence rooted in the moment. With every stroke of oil, every gentle scrape, every whispered scent, you are partaking in a timeless tradition, one that connects you to countless others who have sought renewal in these very stones. The ritual complete, you feel the soft glow of satisfaction and calm, the body refreshed, the spirit soothed. The bathhouse pulses softly with life as the morning turns toward midday. Voices ripple gently through the steam-filled chambers, footsteps echo across polished marble, and the air is thick with the mingling scents of oils, perfumes, and warm stone. It is here, amid the soothing cadence of water and warmth, that relationships flourish, delicate, complex, and endlessly fascinating. You find yourself drifting through these social currents, becoming aware of the many layers of connection that the baths fostered. In this space, the rigid hierarchies of Roman society softened, but did not disappear. Senators, merchants, soldiers, artisans, and slaves all mingled, their interactions shaped by both tradition and opportunity. At a sunlit corner of the tepidarium, a group of middle-aged men leaning close, their voices low but animated. They are merchants discussing trade routes, their hands gesturing toward faraway lands and the promise of profit. Nearby, younger men engage in light-hearted banter, perhaps friends teasing each other over a recent victory or a playful insult. The laughter is easy, familiar. You notice subtle glances exchanged across the room, a silent conversation of courtship and intrigue. Bathhouses were known as places where romantic connections sparked. Amid the steam and softened outlines, friendships deepened, flirtations blossomed, and sometimes secret alliances took root. Women, though often restricted to separate bathing areas, also formed strong bonds in their own quarters. They shared stories, advice on beauty and health, and whispered rumours of the city beyond. The baths offered them a rare social space outside the home, a community woven in warmth and shared experience. Within this social dance there were moments of tension too. Rivalries simmered beneath polite smiles, competition for status, influence, or favour. A slight turn of phrase or a dismissive glance could ripple outward, causing subtle shifts in alliances. Yet these tensions rarely erupted loudly. The baths maintained a delicate balance, where harmony was prized. You observe how the shared vulnerability of bathing, stripped of armour and status symbols, fostered a unique intimacy. Here, people saw each other in a raw, honest light. The body's imperfections were laid bare alongside the soul's quiet yearnings. This openness, paradoxically, encouraged both camaraderie and caution. Trust was a precious currency, earned through repeated rituals of presence and respect. Conversations range from the trivial to the profound, discussions of politics, poetry, philosophy, and daily gossip. The baths served as an informal forum where ideas circulated as freely as water. You feel the pulse of this living community, a complex web of human connection thriving within the warm embrace of the stone walls. As you move through this scene, you sense the timelessness of these interactions. Though the details shift with each era and culture, the fundamental human need for connection remains constant. The bathhouse is not merely a place of cleansing, but a crucible where friendships are forged, alliances nurtured, and the rich fabric of society embroidered with personal stories. As the afternoon sun casts long shadows through the open arches, the baths continue their quiet symphony of life, an endless dance of water, warmth, and human heartbeats. The bathhouse hums quietly beneath the warm afternoon light, steam curling in soft spirals above the pools and rooms as you settle into the gentle rhythm of this sanctuary. But beyond the soothing touch of water and heat, the baths were also a place where the Romans sought healing, where the line between medicine and ritual blurred, and wellness was understood as a delicate balance of body, mind, and environment. As you wander through the caldarium, the hot steam enveloping you like a soft cloak, you recall that Roman physicians placed great faith in the therapeutic power of water and heat. They believed that sweating could purge the body of harmful humours, those invisible fluids thought to govern health and temperament. The bathhouse was thus a vital site for this cleansing, a place where illness could be warded off or eased through deliberate exposure to warmth and steam. You observe a visitor reclining in the sudatorium, the steam room, their breathing slow and measured, allowing the heat to open pores and encourage deep sweating. This process was more than comfort. It was a prescribed remedy, a way to stimulate the body's natural defences. Nearby, an attendant offers herbal infusions, mixtures of thyme, mint, and lavender, thought to ease respiratory troubles or soothe digestive discomfort. The air carries these faint scents, subtle yet pervasive, weaving into the fabric of wellness. Roman doctors often recommended alternating between hot and cold water as a means to stimulate circulation and invigorate the body. The transition from the caldarium to the frigidarium, the icy plunge pool, was as much a medical treatment as a refreshing shock. You watch as visitors brace themselves for the cold dip, their bodies tightening and then relaxing, blood coursing anew. Beyond physical ailments, the baths were seen as places of mental rejuvenation. The calm, measured pace, the enveloping warmth, and the gentle social hum fostered a sense of tranquility, helping to ease anxieties or melancholia. Philosophers and poets frequented these spaces not only for hygiene but for contemplation and renewal. You also notice inscriptions on the walls, reminders and advice from medical texts, perhaps warnings against overindulgence or instructions on how to safely enjoy the baths. These were practical guides embedded in the architecture, guiding visitors in the ancient art of self-care. Some rituals seem peculiar through a modern lens. For example, Romans believed that rubbing the body with certain powders or animal fats could ward off disease or attract good fortune. Others carried amulets or recited prayers before entering the pools, blending medicine with magic. The idea of wellness was holistic, encompassing diet, exercise, bathing, and spiritual practice. Gymnasiums often adjoined the baths, linking physical training with cleansing. The interplay of sweat, water, massage, and rest was carefully choreographed, each step reinforcing health. As you move through the spaces, you feel the layered history of these beliefs, the way they shaped not only daily routines but also the architecture, the sounds, and the very atmosphere of the baths. You sense a deep reverence for the body as a living vessel, requiring care, respect, and balance. Illness was not merely a failure but a disruption of harmony, and the baths offered a way to restore it through ritual and community. In the quiet corners of the caldarium, you imagine conversations between doctors and patients, advice given in soft voices, hands gently touching shoulders. Here, healing was as much about presence and attention as it was about substances and treatments. The steam rises steadily, blurring edges and softening sounds. You breathe deeply, feeling yourself part of this ancient quest for well-being, a journey through heat, water, and whispered wisdom. The baths are more than stone and water. They are a living testament to humanity's enduring desire to heal, renew, and find peace within the rhythms of daily life. The sun has shifted westward now, casting long, warm beams through the open arches of the bath complex. The air holds a comfortable weight, steamy and fragrant, with whispers of oil and dust mingling softly with voices and footsteps. You move through the grand spaces with a sense of ease, feeling the steady pulse of activity mellow into a calm, deliberate rhythm. This afternoon moment is unique in its balance, a time when the baths become not only a place of refreshment and cleansing, but also a subtle stage for social interaction, business dealings, and the nuanced dance of political life. You find yourself drifting toward the tepidarium, where the warm, gentle heat invites visitors to linger. The pools here reflect sunlight like molten glass, their surfaces rippling softly with slow, measured movements. Around the edges, small groups gather, some deep in conversation, others reclining in quiet contemplation. Nearby, a merchant and a senator discuss matters in hushed tones. Their dialogue is careful, weaving between friendly banter and pointed negotiation. The baths provide a rare neutral ground, a space where class barriers soften and the exchange of favours, contracts, or news can proceed with discretion. You notice how business here is often conducted with subtlety, an exchanged glance, a discreet whisper, a shared cup of spiced wine. The public yet private nature of the baths makes them ideal for such encounters, where trust and social grace are currency. Elsewhere, you see artisans displaying their craftsmanship, perhaps a jeweller showing a delicate ring, or a scribe offering a neatly folded scroll. The bath's daily visitors included a cross-section of society, making it fertile ground for commerce and cultural exchange. The leisure of the baths also takes many forms. Some visitors lounge on marble benches, engaged in quiet games like dice or knucklebones, their laughter muted but genuine. Others read scrolls or listen to storytellers weaving tales from myth and history, their voices drawing listeners into distant worlds. You observe small children playing near the shallower pools, their carefree splashes adding a lightness to the scene. Their presence reminds you of the bath's role as a family space, where generations mingled and learned social customs. Amid these activities, the political undercurrents flow quietly but persistently. The baths are a microcosm of Roman life, a place where alliances are forged, reputations built or tested, and influence exchanged like precious coin. Senators might overhear gossip that shapes their next move. Magistrates watch for public opinion's subtle shifts. You feel the weight of history here, how these spaces have witnessed countless decisions, whispered promises, and silent challenges. The marble walls seem to hold the echoes of speeches and debates, of laughter and tears, of power wielded with both grace and cunning. Yet, beneath this web of social complexity, the baths remain a place of respite. The warmth seeps into your bones, the gentle sound of flowing water calms the mind. Here, despite ambition and intrigue, people find moments of simple pleasure, shared meals, comfortable conversation, and the quiet joy of being present. As afternoon fades toward evening, the light softens and shadows deepen. The pace slows further, inviting reflection and rest. You imagine slipping into the pools once more, feeling the cool embrace of water easing away the cares of the day. The baths are alive with stories, of friendship and rivalry, of commerce and politics, of everyday humanity entwined with history. As you breathe in this space, you become part of that endless current, a witness to the timeless dance of life unfolding beneath the Roman sun. As the afternoon light softens and the warmth of the bath settles into a gentle embrace, you find yourself drawn toward a quieter corner of the complex, where the air carries a subtle, inviting aroma. Here, the ritual of refreshment unfolds, a delicate interplay of nourishment, conversation, and repose that complements the cleansing waters. Unlike the grand feasts held in private homes, the food and drink offered at the baths were modest, yet thoughtfully prepared, designed to replenish energy without overwhelming the body. Small stalls or vendors might be present near the entrances or in open courtyards, offering fresh fruit, figs, grapes, and pomegranates, glistening with dew and bursting with sweet juice. You imagine the soft crunch of freshly baked bread, warm from the oven, sometimes accompanied by cheeses made from sheep or goat's milk, their flavours mild and comforting. Honey, prized in Roman cuisine, often sweetened these simple bites, adding a golden richness. Drinks were an essential part of this ritual. Water naturally flowed freely, cool and pure from nearby aqueducts, refreshing after the heat of the caldarium or the shock of the frigidarium. For those seeking a little more indulgence, wine diluted with water was common, sometimes infused with herbs or spices such as mint or cinnamon, adding subtle complexity. The atmosphere around these refreshment areas is relaxed and convivial. Visitors gather in small groups, sitting on stone benches or low stools, sharing food and stories as the steam of the baths mingles with the warm scents of the snacks. In some larger complexes, more elaborate refreshments were available, small dishes of olives, nuts, or salted fish, delicately flavoured with garum, the famed fermented fish sauce that seasoned much of Roman cuisine. These tastes evoke the broader Mediterranean world, a reminder of the empire's vast reach and culinary diversity. You notice how these moments of eating and drinking are not rushed. The pace here is deliberate, part of the larger rhythm of the day's leisure and care. The food nourishes the body, yes, but also fosters community, conversation and relaxation. This sharing of simple pleasures strengthens the social bonds woven throughout the baths. Friends toast quietly, merchants discuss deals over fruit and wine, and strangers exchange polite greetings as they pass. You imagine the gentle clinking of cups, the soft rustle of cloth as guests adjust their robes, the murmured laughter that rises like a warm current beneath the stone arches. Even the act of eating becomes a ritual, mindful and connected, a small celebration of life's sustenance amid the cleansing waters. As the afternoon wanes and shadows lengthen, these nourishing moments prepare you for the final stages of the bathing experience, a return to calm, to quiet contemplation, and to rest. You feel the gentle satisfaction of body and spirit both cared for, the warmth of the baths, the taste of fresh food, the soft companionship of shared space. In this blend of elements, the Roman baths reveal themselves as more than a place of cleansing. They are a sanctuary of holistic well-being, where water, warmth, nourishment, and community flow together in perfect harmony. The bathhouse, with its grand halls and softly flowing water, becomes a stage for a subtler kind of spectacle, a gathering place not only of bodies but of voices, instruments, and stories. You find yourself wandering into a sunlit alcove, where the faint strains of a lyre drift gently through the steam-laden air. Music was a vital thread in the fabric of the bath's atmosphere. Skilled musicians played softly, their melodies a delicate accompaniment to the rhythm of conversation and water. The lyre's tender notes mingle with the occasional rustle of robes and the murmur of voices, creating a soundscape both soothing and evocative. Sometimes, a poet recited verses aloud, their words rising and falling with measured cadence. Poetry here was not mere entertainment. It was a shared language of culture and reflection, evoking the beauty of nature, the passage of time, or the complexity of human emotion. The verses wrapped around listeners like a gentle breeze, stirring thoughts without urgency. Occasionally, more elaborate performances took place in larger baths, with dancers moving gracefully in harmony with music, or actors presenting brief scenes from popular plays. These moments added layers of drama and colour, offering a respite from the everyday and inviting visitors into realms of imagination. You imagine the visual richness that adorned the baths, mosaics sparkling beneath your feet, frescoes depicting gods and heroes lining the walls, sculptures standing serene in niches. These artworks, crafted with care and devotion, transformed the baths into a gallery of stories and symbols, deepening the experience beyond mere cleansing. In this environment, the senses are gently awakened. The shimmer of light on water, the tactile smoothness of marble, the fragrance of oils, the warmth on your skin, and the delicate sounds weaving through the air. Here, art and daily life blend seamlessly. The cultural expressions in the baths foster connection, between listener and performer, between friend and stranger, between past and present. As you settle deeper into this world, you feel how the baths offered more than physical renewal. They were places where the soul might also find refreshment, where beauty could soothe, inspire, and quietly transform. The music slows now, notes fading into the soft ripple of water and the distant footsteps echoing gently through vaulted corridors. The poetry's final lines linger in the air, a whispered promise of reflection and peace. The bathhouse is alive with these echoes, inviting you to rest within their gentle embrace, to let the day's cares dissolve in harmony and light. The sun begins its slow descent, casting a golden haze across the marble surfaces and through the open arches. The lively hum of the day softens into a tranquil murmur as fewer visitors remain in the vast spaces of the bath complex. The air cools gradually, carrying with it a delicate mingling of scents, lingering oils, faint perfumes, and the earthy freshness of damp stone. You feel the weight of calm settle gently around you, as if the baths themselves are exhaling after a day filled with warmth and life. The pools shimmer quietly, reflecting the dimming light like mirrors of memory. Steam rises in thin, wispy tendrils, softening the edges of the world and inviting rest. Visitors prepare to leave, wrapping themselves again in linen or woolen robes, their skin still flushed from heat and water. You watch as hands gently smooth damp hair, as feet pad softly over cooled marble floors, and as voices lower into quiet, appreciative farewells. The attendants begin their careful tasks, sweeping the floors, replenishing water, and closing shutters to shelter the interior from the cool evening breeze. Their movements are slow, deliberate, respectful of the sanctuary that the baths have been for so many hours. You feel the pull of the world outside, the dusty streets, the city's noise and motion, but the baths hold you a moment longer in their gentle stillness. It is a sacred space between the bustle of daily life and the solitude of night. Perhaps a final sip of water cools your throat, or the faint taste of honeyed wine lingers as a last indulgence. The echoes of distant laughter and murmured conversation fade like a soft melody retreating into silence. As you step toward the exit, the warm glow of lanterns begins to light the corridors, casting long shadows that dance softly on the walls. The chill of evening brushes against your skin, a reminder of the world beyond these walls, yet the baths have imprinted themselves upon you, a memory of warmth, connection, and renewal. You pause a moment at the threshold, breathing deeply the mingled scents and sounds, carrying the calm with you like a quiet gift. The day at the Roman baths has ended, but its gentle rhythms and ancient stories will linger, an enduring balm for the body and soul. As twilight deepens outside, you find yourself seated once more within the imagined quietude of the Roman baths, the cool marble beneath you grounding your thoughts in the present while your mind journeys through the centuries. The baths, with their warm pools and vaulted halls, have long since fallen silent, but their spirit flows onward like an invisible current beneath the surface of history. The grandeur and social fabric of Roman bathing culture left an indelible mark on civilizations to come. Across Europe and the Mediterranean, many later cultures adapted and transformed the concept of communal bathing. Byzantine thermae, Ottoman hammams, and medieval bathhouses each drawing upon this ancient wellspring of wellness. You envision the warm glow of an Ottoman bathhouse centuries later, the intricate tiles shimmering under lantern light, the sound of running water mingling with soft conversation, a living thread stretching back to Rome's bustling caldarium. In modern times, though the form has changed, the essence remains. Spas, wellness centres, and even the simple pleasure of a warm bath echo the timeless human desire to cleanse, relax, and connect. The rituals of self-care, the blending of physical and social renewal, and the pursuit of balance continue to resonate deeply within us. You reflect on how ideas once whispered amid marble columns now find expression in steam rooms, massages, aromatherapy, and holistic health. The ancient Romans' intuitive understanding of the body's need for warmth, water, and rest aligns with contemporary practices that emphasize mindfulness and self-compassion. The baths also remind us of the power of shared space, a communal sanctuary where social boundaries soften and a diverse tapestry of humanity can come together in quiet harmony. This notion reverberates through modern wellness culture's emphasis on inclusivity and community. As you breathe deeply, you feel a subtle kinship with those ancient bathers, their laughter and conversations, their hopes and worries flowing through time like ripples on a pond. The warmth you feel is both physical and metaphysical, a reminder that across millennia, people have sought comfort, connection, and renewal in water's embrace. The Roman baths were more than architecture or routine. They were a living testament to the human spirit's yearning for balance, beauty, and belonging. As you settle into this thought, the gentle sound of flowing water, whether imagined or remembered, lulls you further into calm. You are part of this ancient continuum, an inheritor of traditions woven through time. The bathhouse surrounds you like a quiet temple of stone and steam, its vast chambers alive with the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and warmth. You feel the cool marble beneath your fingertips, smooth from centuries of touch, and gaze upward at the soaring vaulted ceilings that seem to hold the very sky. The Roman baths are not just places of leisure, they are feats of engineering brilliance and artistic vision, meticulously designed to harmonize function and beauty. Imagine the labyrinthine network of aqueducts and pipes hidden beneath the surface, channels carrying fresh, clean water from distant springs into the heart of the city. This water flows steadily, carefully regulated by valves and reservoirs, feeding pools of varying temperatures that cater to every stage of the bathing ritual. Beneath your feet, the Hippocos system hums softly, the ingenious underfloor heating that warms the caldarium and tepidarium. Pillars elevate the floors, creating hollow spaces where hot air from furnaces circulates, bathing the rooms in gentle, consistent warmth. It's an early marvel of climate control, a precursor to modern heating systems. The walls are thick and solid, constructed from carefully cut stone and brick, plastered smoothly and often adorned with frescoes, vivid scenes of mythological tales, serene landscapes, or floral patterns that soothe the eye. Light filters through carefully placed windows and open archways, designed to welcome the sun's warmth while ensuring privacy. Water basins and fountains are strategically placed, their gentle trickle adding to the ambient soundscape of flowing life. You walk slowly through the changing rooms, the palestra, and the various bathing chambers, marveling at how each space transitions seamlessly into the next, guiding bathers through the ritual with subtle cues of temperature, light, and texture. Columns rise gracefully, framing open courtyards where visitors can stroll or sit in quiet contemplation. These outdoor spaces are sanctuaries of shade and breeze, planted with trees and fragrant herbs, completing the sensory experience. Every stone, every curve is crafted with intention, not only to support the physical demands of the baths, but to evoke a sense of calm and order. The architecture itself is a form of care, a silent guardian of wellness. As you breathe in the cool, mineral-scented air, you sense the hands of countless artisans and engineers who shaped these spaces, their knowledge passed down and perfected through generations. The Roman baths stand as a testament to the enduring human desire to create environments where body and spirit might find rest and renewal, a legacy of both creativity and compassion. The vast halls of the baths seem still, but beneath the surface hums a quiet, steady rhythm, one maintained by the dedicated attendants and workers who bring this ancient world to life each day. You imagine their presence now, subtle yet indispensable, as the sun's rays soften and the pools continue to steam gently. These attendants, known as balneari, are the unseen caretakers of your experience. They move with practiced grace through the complex, tending to fires that keep the Hippocus warm, ensuring water flows steadily, and maintaining the pools at just the right temperatures. Their work requires both strength and attention to detail, a dance of precision that makes your day here possible. You picture a balnearius gently stirring the waters, testing their warmth with practiced fingers, adjusting valves to balance the flow. Another sweeps the marble floors, whisking away dust and stray leaves with a soft brush, preserving the pristine beauty of the space. Some attendants specialize in assisting bathers, offering oils for massage, helping guests with their robes, or guiding newcomers through the ritual. Their knowledge is deep, passed down through apprenticeships, embodying a tradition of care and hospitality. Beyond the balneari, you sense the presence of fire tenders who stoke the furnaces below, their faces marked by the heat and soot of their labour. Without their tireless work, the Hippocos could not fulfil its vital role, and the calming warmth you cherish would not reach you. In the open courtyards and palestra, other workers prepare spaces for exercise and socialising, arranging mats, setting up vendors, or tending to the fragrant herbs planted nearby. Their efforts ensure the baths remain a harmonious blend of leisure, health, and community. Though often unseen and unheralded, these workers are the backbone of the bath's enduring magic. Their routines are steady, rhythmic, and vital, a quiet choreography behind the scenes that sustains the grand spectacle of bathing culture. You feel gratitude for their dedication, sensing how their hands shape the atmosphere of calm and care that envelops you. The warmth, the clean water, the gentle murmurs of welcome, All owe themselves to these guardians of the baths. As the day draws on, their work continues, silent, steady, essential, like the steady pulse of the waters themselves. The gentle steam rises around you once more, carrying with it a whisper of ancient wisdom, ideas about the body, health, and healing that were as much a part of the Roman baths as the water itself. You imagine yourself reclining by a warm pool, the marble smooth beneath your fingertips, as you listen to soft conversations about remedies, balance, and well-being. In Roman thought, the baths were not simply places for cleanliness or socializing, they were also centers of healing. The waters themselves were believed to possess restorative powers, especially when drawn from natural springs thought to be blessed by the gods or infused with minerals. You picture bathers seeking relief from ailments, aches, fatigue, or skin conditions, immersing themselves slowly, trusting that the gentle warmth and flowing water might soothe their bodies. Physicians, known as medici, sometimes accompanied patients here, advising on which rooms to visit, the cold plunge of the frigidarium to invigorate, or the hot caldarium to relax muscles and open pores. Ancient medical texts describe treatments that sound both strange and fascinating to modern ears. For example, scraping the skin with a strigil was believed to remove not only dirt but harmful humours, a concept in Roman medicine where health depended on balancing bodily fluids, blood, phlegm, black bile and yellow bile. Oils infused with herbs such as lavender, myrtle or rosemary were applied after bathing, not only to moisturize but also to protect and refresh the skin. These scents were thought to purify the spirit as well as the body, offering subtle healing through touch and smell. You hear tales of ancient beliefs linking the baths to divine favour. Certain springs were dedicated to gods like Apollo or Neptune, and rituals sometimes accompanied bathing. A prayer whispered, a small offering cast into the water, invoking blessings of health and vitality. The baths also served as places of gentle exercise and massage, both valued for maintaining balance and strength. The palestra, an open exercise courtyard, echoed with the soft sound of sandals on stone and quiet encouragement, a place where body and mind were honed together. Despite their ancient worldview, the Romans understood intuitively the importance of rhythm, relaxation and care, principles echoed in modern wellness practices. The combination of warmth, movement, touch, and community formed a holistic approach to health that transcended the limits of contemporary medicine. You feel a profound sense of connection to those ancient bathers, their hopes for relief, their moments of quiet healing amid the warmth and water. The baths were a sanctuary where body, mind, and spirit might find harmony. As you breathe in this gentle wisdom, the healing waters seem to ripple softly around you, carrying away tension and inviting peace. The marble halls and warm pools of the baths hum softly with life, yet beneath the surface flows a current of unspoken understandings, a delicate dance of manners, respect, and tradition that guides every gesture and glance. You find yourself amidst the crowd, attuned to the rhythms of this ancient social ballet. The baths, though open to many, were places where certain codes of conduct ensured that all might find comfort and peace. These weren't rigid laws, but rather shared customs, whispered and learned through observation and gentle correction. You notice how bathers speak in lowered tones, mindful of the shared intimacy of the space. Loud voices or boisterous laughter are softened, as the baths called for a calm, reflective atmosphere. Personal space, though less defined than in modern times, is respected in subtle ways. Strangers nod politely rather than interrupting conversations, and touching is limited to those with established familiarity. Proper dress, or rather undress, follows its own ritual. Bathers remove their garments carefully, placing them on benches or attendance racks, mindful of modesty and order. Even in this openness, a quiet decorum preserves dignity. You sense the importance of timing and patience, waiting one's turn at the different pools, allowing others to finish before entering and avoiding haste. The baths encourage a slow, deliberate pace, a rhythm of presence rather than urgency. Social interactions are gentle and courteous. Greetings are exchanged with respectful nods or brief words. Friendships are nurtured in these shared moments, while casual acquaintances remain polite but reserved. Some customs govern activities like exercise or massage, with attendants signalling when a space is in use or when privacy is desired. The palestra, the open courtyard for physical activity, is a place of camaraderie, but also respect for personal effort. Even the use of oils and the strigil is marked by understanding. Tools shared thoughtfully, hygiene observed carefully, and gestures made with care. You observe how these codes weave a delicate fabric of safety and respect that allows the baths to be both lively and serene. They help transform a place of many strangers into a temporary community, a shared refuge where bodies are cleansed and spirits quietly refreshed. The unspoken etiquette of the baths speaks to a deep human wisdom, that harmony arises not only from grand gestures but from small, kind attentions, an acknowledgement of others in a space of vulnerability and care. As you sink once more into the gentle warmth of the pools, you carry this sense of calm respect with you, a soft current beneath the surface of your thoughts. You find yourself once again amidst the warm, echoing chambers of the baths, where the air is thick with steam and quiet conversation. Around you, the mosaic of humanity unfolds, a blend of voices, skin tones and stories, each a thread in the complex fabric of Roman society. The baths welcomed a broad spectrum of people. Senators in flowing togas mingled with tradesmen wiping the dust of the city from their skin. Slaves brought in by their masters quietly moved through the spaces, carrying oils or towels, their eyes respectful yet alert. Wealthy merchants found moments of leisure beside labourers seeking a brief respite. You imagine a young woman, her hair pinned back, moving carefully through the halls. Though women's access was often limited or regulated, some baths had designated times or separate areas for them. Her presence adds a soft dimension to the bustling masculine spaces, reminding you that the baths touched many lives in different ways. Children's laughter might bubble up from the palestra or shallow pools, their energy weaving through the gentler conversations of adults. Elderly men and women, their faces marked by time, move slowly, savouring the warmth and companionship the baths provide. You notice the visitors came from varied regions of the vast empire, Gauls, Egyptians, Greeks and others, each carrying customs and stories from their homelands. The baths in this way were a crossroads of cultures, a melting pot where differences softened beneath the universal need for renewal. Conversations in multiple languages and accents intertwine, sometimes interrupted by laughter or the clink of cups as wine is shared. You sense how the baths allowed for subtle exchanges of ideas and news, a vital social hub beyond mere cleansing. Amid this diversity, the baths offered a rare space of relative equality. In the warm pools, social distinctions blurred, robes removed to reveal common humanity. Yet, subtle markers remained. Access to certain chambers, the quality of oils used, or the presence of slaves, reminding all of the layered complexities beneath the surface. You feel a gentle melancholy and gratitude intertwined, the awareness that this shared refuge, so vital and vibrant, was both inclusive and limited, a reflection of a world both ancient and deeply human. As the steam swirls around you, you carry the echo of countless lives mingling in this space, each one part of the enduring story of the baths. The warm marble beneath you feels familiar now, as if the very stones of the baths have settled into your bones. Around you, the steady hush of water and stone, the lingering scent of oil and steam, wrap gently like a whispered lullaby. The Roman baths stand not only as monuments of history, but as living symbols of humanity's timeless yearning to pause, to breathe, to find sanctuary amid the currents of life. You sense how their spirit transcends time, inviting all who enter to shed burdens, to soften and to simply be. Here, in the quiet interplay of warmth and water, stone and air, the world outside fades, replaced by a tender stillness. You are part of this ancient ritual now, one that connects you to countless souls who sought rest and renewal within these walls. The baths teach us that wellness is more than a momentary pleasure. It is a gentle practice, woven from care, community, and the simple grace of presence. In their embrace, we find a mirror to our own need for balance and peace. As you prepare to leave this place, you carry with you the calm echo of flowing waters, the steady pulse of warmth, and the soft murmur of shared humanity. The day at the Roman baths may end, but their invitation remains, an eternal call to rest, to heal, and to return gently to yourself. Take one last deep breath, feeling the soothing currents within and around you. Let the warmth linger in your muscles, the calm settle in your mind, and the peace cradle your spirit. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes, carrying this quiet sanctuary with you into the night and beyond. As you settle deeper into your cozy space, the echoes of warm waters and soft marble fade gently into the quiet night. You carry with you the calm and comfort of the Roman baths, their timeless invitation to rest, renew, and simply be. May your body find ease, your mind drift softly, and your spirit feel wrapped in peaceful stillness. Let the gentle rhythms of the past lull you into a restful sleep, where dreams flow as gently as the ancient waters. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well and wake refreshed, ready to greet a new day with calm and grace.